If you have an interest in horses and love learning more about horses, the horse industry, teaching, or even managing your own horse business, then you're in the right place. We would love you to join us on our mission, which is to improve the lives of horses around the world through the education of riders, handlers, and trainers. So get comfortable, listen in, and enjoy.
Today on Horse Chats, we've got David Nash. Now, David is a nutritionalist for Kentucky Equine Research, and we've had Peter Huntington on before, who's been a representative of Kentucky Equine Research and given us lots of information about nutrition and horses and horse care. David has got a background with Australian stock horses, so we're going to talk to him about that as well. But before we do that, I just want to remind you about the values of International Horse College. Horse welfare and safety are of utmost importance when humans have any interaction with horses. Within our courses at International Horse College, we only utilise methods that promote safe and humane ways of interaction between horses and humans, and we only support safe methods of educating riders, handlers and trainers in all our courses. Have a look now, internationalhorsecollege.com, registered training organisation 31352. Now, David, are you there?
Yep, sure.
Oh, brilliant. So, David, we're going to talk to you today a little bit about nutrition, a little bit about the work that you do at Kentucky Equine Research, and also a little bit about your stock horse background. But before we even get started, and this is for our listeners, they like to know, who we're talking to, and often if someone's got a favourite quote or something that, say again and again, or if they're teaching or whatever, it gets to know the person a little bit more. So have you got a quote that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, but it's one from Charlie Maxey, and it's if people know the books, it's about the boy and the horse and the mole, and it talks about the boy says, we've got so far to go, and the horse responds, but look how far we've come. And I think for me, when I get into a situation, you go, all's lost, we haven't achieved anything. And when you actually reflect back, you realise how far you've come in your life or the task, or, when I'm working with horses, you get frustrated. And then you have that day and look back to where you started and you went, we actually have come a long way.
I know, working with horses, sometimes you feel like you're plateauing, but what you're doing is just confirming that work that you've done beforehand. Yeah.
Yep, definitely.
All right. Now, David, your work as a nutritionalist, why did you move into that field? What brought that on? You've obviously had a background with horses, but what brought that on to get started in nutrition?
Yeah. So I still remember I was probably about 12 or 13 and I took over feeding at home. We grew up with stock horses and quarter horses, so we always had 10 or 20 horses in work or breeding, and I just fell into the love of wanting to feed the horses and knowing what was going on with my horses. And I was always quite inquisitive, so my parents and grandparents guided me into the science background, so understanding why things were occurring, that was my natural habit. So after I graduated university, I did a degree in microbiology. Mm-hmm. So looking inside things and working out what they do, I actually got a job with the Department of Agriculture researching equine nutrition. So I sort of fell into the perfect job because I never found it work. It was just doing something you love. So I'm one of those few that has that job that I actually get paid for doing something I really like.
Yeah, so something you'd be doing anywhere. I think that's one thing about the horse industry is that a lot of horse professionals, they just say, well, I'm doing something that I would be doing even if I wasn't a professional. I would still be doing this. Yeah. David, the stock horses, you said the family's always had stock horses. Tell us a little bit about the stock horses and, your upbringing with them and what you do with your stock horses now.
Yep, so my parents were involved with the stock horses since they started in 71, so next year we're celebrating 50 years. So that will be quite good for the society. I think they were drawn into the stock horses because they're just a versatile horse. And back in the 70s, you didn't have your hack, your show jumper, your camp drafter, your novelty horse. You had one horse.
Yep.
And stock horses were able to do all that. So for us, me growing up, you know, you wanted to do every show, every class, every event, and that was the horses we had. So we didn't have any specialised horses. So for me, growing up, we did lots of youth events and then went to uni and, you know, sort of lost touch a bit with the horses because you can't afford it when you're actually studying at university.
Sure.
And now my wife and I breed our own Australian stock horses and we compete them, train them and promote them. So it's what we do. It's part of our life. So, you know, we start in the morning with the horses, we go to work and talk horses, and then we come home and do horses. So
so you're working, you're doing something at work that you'd, you know, be doing anyway. You come home and do pretty much the same thing. What do you think is the best thing about working in the horse industry?
I think it's seeing the progression of your work. And for me, that's seeing a problem horse talking nutrition and they've had issues with the horse and working with the customer all the way through and actually getting that photo or seeing that horse in real life and seeing it improve or recover or perform. And I think that's the same for my riding horses. Simply you breed them, you see them as foals, then you work with them and, you know, they can win at the nationals or even just do something really good at home. That's the satisfaction you get.
Yeah. I'm thinking about your favourite quote. It's sort of being reflected already in what you're saying, you know, coming a long way and just keep going back and seeing it, but look how far we've come. And you seeing that progression as well, it just reflects that. Thinking about other people working in the horse industry and people that are thinking about getting into the horse industry. Knowledge aside, because we're going to pick that up, knowledge and skills, but the character traits that person needs to be. You know, what sort of core skills, character traits, what type of person do people need to be if they're going to work in the horse industry?
I think number one's patience, and that doesn't involve you dealing with a horse or a horse person, and the ability to listen. And when I'm talking with a customer, it's not what they actually tell you, it's what they don't tell you sometimes. And you have to decipher that, actually glean the information you need to be able to assist that person. So I think patience, perseverance, and calm enough. I mean, if the horses are fear and flight animals, so if you're rambunctious and you're quite quick and loud and aggressive, you won't get the best out of the animal. And I think that's the same. You won't get the best out of the horse person. So for whether you're a trainer or a clinician or just a horse enthusiast, I think it's just being patient, calm and metered around your animals and around your horse people. I think that's fit for them.
Okay. And then, yeah, I'm sure you would have come across it quite a bit. You know, you see young people, they start off as a competitor, you know, they come out and they might have, you know, similar background to you where they've got a family that have got stock horses, or they could be someone who just, this is their first horse and they happen to get a stock horse and then they've, you know, gone out and decided to show it, or, you know, they've had other influences or they've had a variety of stock horses. But then if you look at, say, a group of 10 or 20 competitors and you think, if I was going to choose one that was going to go on and be, you know, a national level competitor at a higher level, how would you choose that? You know, just thinking about, you might know 20 competitors now as a young person, but you think, I think that person will keep going, that person will do well. What are you looking for within that person?
Naturally, I'm a little bit of an introvert, so I'm probably looking for that sort of person that's quiet, that spends a little bit of time with their horse and everything's in slow motion. You look at those top riders, it doesn't matter if they're elite dressage, show jumper, camp drafter, stock horse riders, everything's in slow motion. So you see that person that just has that ability to be slow with their hands, their legs, that they seem to achieve more. But what you'll see out in the field is that, they just stay a little bit longer, they look after their horse, they don't expect anyone else to manage their horse, look after their horse. And you see some of those kids, and we actually have our youth nationals coming up in September, cross our fingers. And you see a lot of those kids, and they distinguish themselves. And what I found over the years is become your elite trainers. And we've got in the stock horse industry, we've got a group of those 25 to 35-year-old people who've grown up a bit, and they're riding their horsemanship ability is fantastic. It's something to sit and be in awe of.
Okay. Thinking about all the horses that you've had, if you're going to have one horse that was a bit of a standout, what horse would you choose?
I'll get in trouble here because I've got too many favourites. But from my past, I had a mare called Quambi Myra.
Mm-hmm.
She was a stock horse, quarter horse cross, so still registered. She took me and my brother to the top. She was multinationals. She ended up being a Hall of Fame horse in the quarter horses and won the Stock Horses Prince of Wales Award twice, and I think runner-up a couple of times. So she taught me a lot. And my current horse, probably past our stallion, that's the benchmark of my breeding program. And, he won at nationals in multi events, and was pretty dominant in Victorian scenes for the stock horses, winning the High Point 4 or so times as well. So then my two standout horses actually taught me a lot in my riding.
David, what about people? You've had your parents who had horses, and I'm sure they taught you a lot. Is there anyone else that you'd like to mention that you could say, well, I really learnt a lot from this person, or do you think it was mainly your parents who taught you?
No, being a scientist, you're sort of that hunter and gatherer of information. So growing up, there was a couple called Dick and Trish Fox, or Trish Wetnell now. They were quite instrumental in my young career. Trish was really instrumental in my gap year to make sure that I didn't train, that I went to school because she wanted me to get an education like my parents. And then if I wanted to become a horse professional, come back with that sort of backgrounding. Modern days, people like Marie Tonkinson. She's not in my field, but I've had lessons with Marie, and just her whole outlook on life and about how she prepares, how she approaches each horse. There's always a forward momentum, a progression with the horse, and that's something I admire. So those sort of two people, and then, I've got friends like Matthew Hunts, that's one of the best photographers in the country, and just watching him with the young horses and how I can be softer and calm with my hands and my legs and actually getting more out of my horse. It's really good that you can lean on different people to talk a horse when you're not on the horse, actually learn and progress. Okay.
Now, thinking about the horse industry in general, and where, you've got to be as a nutritionalist and also with your own horses. And so that our listeners can learn, we count money out of it because, everyone's got money challenges. But what would be your biggest challenge on being where you are now, both as a nutritionalist and within your success being a stock horse breeder and trainer and competitor?
I think it's time.
Okay.
It's, we're all time poor. We travel into work. With the nutrition, I'm surrounded by a bunch of people that know a lot about nutrition, and if they don't, we have the contacts to find. So that's fantastic now. And the advent of the internet which actually talk to and correspond with people across the world. So I don't think that's too much of a challenge now, but just ensuring that you can actually meet with people to progress on the nutrition side or on the equestrian side is making sure that you've got enough time, because if you rush things go wrong. If you jump a step in technical or equestrian, it often finds you out later down the track. So making sure you've got time to actually be right.
Yep. Thinking also too that, you're out and about and you see things. If you're going to give our listeners a lesson on what they can do to improve the nutrition on their horse, what's a common fault you see? Because people are trying to do the right thing. They want to do the right thing. They want to feed their horse correctly. They want to do the right thing by the horse. But what's a common fault that you see? And can you tell us a little bit about fixing it as well? And this is in the area of nutrition.
Yep, sure. I think people often love their horses to death, if you pardon the pun. I mean, we try to take care of them too much. Mm-hmm. So overfeeding is a big issue with humans and horses. So obesity is an issue. I think the common misconception is not paying enough attention or to actual pasture and that the natural resources are providing the horse. So obviously for us in Victoria, we're in Victoria. This year we've had quite a wet autumn. So we've actually had an autumn break. So the amount of sugar in the pastures is quite dramatic because we've had sunshine. So people are underestimating what the nutritional value of the pasture is, and they're not adjusting the rest of their feeding regime. So I think being aware of horses are eating and what's in the roughage is really important. And then actually knowing what's on the back of the bag, that if they are feeding a prepared feed, and ensuring that's actually the right type of feed for them. Sometimes a big issue I see is they're feeding a feed that's designed to be fed at 4 or 5 kilos a day, and they're feeding it at 1 kilo a day. So they're actually not getting the full benefit of what that feed was designed for.
Okay. So really following the guidelines. And I know that KER has on their website, where people can ask questions and get a bit more advice in that area. Is that still available?
Yep, that's available. We've got 6 nutrition advisors in Australia. So you can email us, we can advise you on the type of feeds. We have a really good database on pastures, so if you don't have a pasture test, we can sort of give you a good idea of what's going on in your area. And then help you balance that diet.
Now, a similar question, but with stock horses, with you as a competitor. What do you see other competitors doing, and you just shake your head and go, they could be doing it better. I can't teach everyone, but if they knew this, that would improve the horse's behaviour or something when you're out. What do you see again and again when you're out competing that you'd like to tell everyone about, that this is the way that you can have a better relationship with your horse, a better competitive advantage, a better anything? I'm sure you've got a million tips, but, just one or two that our listeners can take away.
Yeah, I think one thing is when you're out in the practice pen is just sit and watch people. And I think learning sometimes what not to do if they're working their horse too hard or they're not giving that reward back after they're holding the horse. On the competitive side, and this is something I learnt growing up in the youth categories, is riding patterns accurately. And being a judge as well, see someone that says ride to a bone, if it says trot or canter there or stop here, you're losing that many points by not doing it accurately.
Okay.
And the best horse mightn't win always because they've rode a messy pattern.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about, riding dressage, and I know how important the accuracy is there. Yeah. All right. Now, what are you looking for? What are you doing at the moment thinking about what are you doing in the next 12 months, 2 years, you're working at Kentucky Equine Research. What's Kentucky Equine Research doing in the next 12 months, 2 years, 5 years? What have they got in their plans moving forward that you'd be going along with?
Yeah, so my job title is Director of Nutrition Technology. So as part of that, we're looking at digital programs where we can actually link more integrated exactly what the horse is doing and relate that back to the horse's diet.
Okay.
And this gives not only horse owners a benefit, but also the nutritionists that we work with. So we work with about 30 different feed companies around the world. So I'm helping their nutritionists formulate the best feed they can for their environment as well as doing some research on performance and recovery of animals. That's really high on our list.
Mm-hmm.
And just gathering all the information around the world and working out trying to decide where the whole industry is going as a global perspective, and then give different areas so the Australians can find out what the Europeans are doing, what the Americans are doing, see if there's anything new and exciting coming out of there.
Okay. All right. Well, we certainly look forward to, learning a little bit more about that, and looking forward to catching up with you again, David. But David, if people would like to contact you, and I know that they can look on the Kentucky Equine Research website, is that KER.com?
That's correct.
Yeah. And if they have any specific questions for you, what's the best way to contact you?
It's at my email, which is dnash@ker.com.
Okay.
Or they can call my mobile, I guess, as well.
Okay.
And my mobile's 0419 342 818.
Perfect. All right, David. Well, look, what we'll do is we'll put those contact details on your page at Horse Chats, which will be horsechats.com/David Nash. Or if you'd like, you can go to horsechats.com, search for David or search for Nash, and you'll find those details. David, thank you for coming on. Thanks for telling us also too. And it's nice to know that you're not, I won't say just a nutritionalist, because just a nutritionalist still, deserves a high degree of skill, and it's a specialist area, but you're also a stock horse breeder competitor. And I think that's important too, knowing that you're sort of, you're on the ground doing stuff as well as, I suppose, in the lab doing stuff. So it's great to have that combination. Yeah, very good to talk to you, David. All right, look, thank you, and hopefully we'll catch up with you again soon. And if people would like to contact David, just go to horsechats.com, search for David, search for Nash. You'll find those contact details, and we'll chat to you again soon, David. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
If you've enjoyed this chat, then please comment, rate and subscribe. If you'd like any changes or recommendations for guests, then please contact us through horsechats.com. And while you're online, have a look at the government-accredited courses at internationalhorsecollege.com. Registered Training Organisation 31352.
Remember that our comments and instructions are general in nature and do not take into consideration your individual horses or your individual ability and circumstances. If you enjoyed this podcast, then please leave your comment below.